All right, welcome everyone. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on OSHA's official blueprint for building a workplace safety program that actually works. You ever wonder how the best companies seem to get ahead of accidents instead of just reacting to them? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down, so let's get right into it.
Let's just start with this idea for a second, because it's powerful. It completely flips the script. Instead of pointing fingers at a person, it forces us to look at the whole system. When something goes wrong, the first question shouldn't be who messed up. It should be, where did our system let them down? And that right there, that's the core principle we're digging into today.
And this slide really lays out that shift perfectly. On one side, you've got the old way of doing things, reactive safety. It's this endless loop of waiting for someone to get hurt, then investigating to find out who's to blame, and maybe you get a fine. But on the other side, that's where we want to be, proactive safety. This is about actively hunting for risks and fixing them before they can hurt anyone. It's a total move away from that inspect and fine mentality to a much smarter find and fix approach. Okay, so how do you actually make that jump from reactive to proactive? The answer is a safety management system, or what we call an SMS. You got to think of this as the operational DNA for safety in your organization. It's not some binder that just sits on a shelf collecting dust. No way. It's a living, breathing system that weaves safety into every single decision you make, from production schedules to the bottom line.
And here it is. This is basically OSHA's roadmap. This wheel shows you the 7 core elements that make up a really successful program. Now, the really important thing to notice here is how it's a wheel, how all these pieces connect. This is not a checklist you just run through once. It's a continuous, integrated cycle where every single part makes the other stronger.
So let's jump right in and start with the 2 elements that are the absolute bedrock of this entire system: management leadership and worker participation. Seriously, without these 2, the rest of this wheel just grinds to a halt.
Look, it all starts at the top. Management leadership is, and I can't stress this enough, the single most critical driver. This is where safety gets cemented as a core value for the entire company, just as important as productivity or quality or anything else. Real commitment isn't just sending out a memo, it's visible, it's consistent, and everyone in the organization can feel it. But you know, talk is cheap. This commitment has to be backed up by real, tangible action. That means there's a written safety policy, and the top boss has signed it. It means you're putting real money, time, and people towards safety. It means when the manager walks onto the floor, they're wearing the exact same PPE they expect their crew to wear. And, this is a big one, it means everyone, at every level, is held accountable for their safety performance.
But here's the thing. Leadership alone, it's not going to cut it. The other half of this foundation is worker participation. Think about it. Any safety program that's cooked up in a boardroom without any input from the people on the front lines is going to have some massive blind spots. True safety has to be a partnership with the people who are facing the hazards every single day.
So what does that actually look like day to day? Well, it means workers have a seat at the table, helping to design the program and set the goals. It means there are super easy, obvious ways to report a hazard, and people use them because they know they won't get in trouble for speaking up. It even means workers are part of the team that investigates incidents, because let's be honest, who knows the job better? This is how you tap into the collective genius of your entire workforce.
Okay, so we've got our foundation poured and set. Now it's time to fire up the engine of this whole system. That continuous, relentless process of finding and fixing hazards.
This right here, this is the beating heart of proactive safety. We're not just sitting back and waiting for an accident report to hit our desk. Nope, we are actively, constantly on the hunt for potential problems. The big ones, the small ones, all of them, before they ever get a chance to cause any harm.
So, the question is, where do you find these hazards? Well, the answer is everywhere. Of course, this means doing your regular formal inspections, but it also means you investigate every single incident, including those close calls or near misses, the ones that make you say, "Phew, that was close." We're also collecting info from safety data sheets, equipment manuals, you name it. And then we take all that data and look for patterns so we can spot a trend before it becomes a tragedy.
Okay, so we found a hazard. That's a huge first step, right? But now what? Finding the problem is really only half the battle. Now we need a smart, systematic way to actually control it. So what's the most effective way to do that?
Well, the answer lies in this absolutely brilliant framework called the hierarchy of controls.
It basically prioritizes our options from the most effective down to the least effective. You always start at the top, which is the best case scenario. Can we just eliminate the hazard completely? Get rid of it. If we can't do that, okay, can we substitute it with something safer? If not, then we move down to engineering controls, like putting a guard on a machine. After that, we look at administrative controls, which means changing the way people work, like new procedures or job rotation. And only then, as the very last line of defense, do we rely on personal protective equipment, or PPE.
All right, we've got our foundation, we've got our engine running, but any engine needs fuel to keep going, right? For our safety system, that fuel is education, training, and a non-stop drive to get better every single day. And let's be clear, this training isn't just for the new hires, it is for everyone. All workers need to get the basics on policies, how to report a hazard, and what their rights are. But managers and supervisors, they need specialized training too, on what their specific responsibilities are and how to lead a good incident investigation. This isn't a one-and-done thing, it's a continuous part of the job.
So really, what it all boils down to is this. Training builds confidence, and confidence across the entire organization. It makes sure that everyone, from the person who started yesterday to the CEO, understands exactly what their role is in keeping the workplace safe and feels empowered to actually do it. And look at that, this brings us right back full circle to our blueprint. Every single element, especially the training we just talked about, feeds into evaluating and improving the program. A great safety system is never done. It's a living thing. It's a journey, not a destination, and you're constantly monitoring it, evaluating it, and making it stronger based on what you're learning along the way.
Okay, so let's boil this all down. What are the big takeaways? First, it all starts with visible, active commitment from leadership. Second, it can only succeed if workers are meaningfully involved. Third, it runs on a systematic find-and-fix approach to every single hazard. And finally, it's fueled by ongoing training and a real commitment to always getting better. None of these are optional, they have to work together.
And at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. Building a system like this isn't just about checking a box for compliance or avoiding a fine. It is one of the single most important investments any company can make. It protects your people, it actually improves productivity, and it prevents tragedies. So the real question isn't, can we afford to do this? It's, how can we possibly afford not to?